Everybody, and welcome to Mondoid, your weekly one-stop shop Project Zomboid update thing. And that was probably one of the worst introductions I've had for this Mondoid blog situation. So, this week, what do we have to deal with in the blog? Well, it's called bug squashing, and you know what you might expect from this particular blog? You're not getting a lot. In fact, you're not getting a lot at all. So what we're looking at here, more importantly, is one particular interesting point. But before we get there, I'll talk about the original, the opening thing. So really what they're saying is, right now, the latest stable build that I call it stable with, air quotes. Stable build that we have right now is version 7, right? And you haven't seen much outside of that. Well, rest assured, as one of the closed testers, they are working hard at version 8 right now. But the most important thing they're really working on is a 32-bit bug, or a bug working that's working off of 32-bit systems, causing memory usage of OpenGL to 2 gig and crashing the game. Basically, it's using, as far as I know and the way it works, it's using too much memory and crashing the game, and they've been working on trying to squash this bug for I would say a solid month now. And since build 7 is what they say largely considered the most stable build. Oh, see, I did say air quotes, and now they're calling what most are saying, or relatively speaking, the most stable build. And fun build they've had in a long time. We'd rather not put out updates immediately that risk upsetting this until we've solved this last remaining issue. And I'm sure there are a few of you out there, if not more than a few, that are saying, that's not fair, I'd rather get this out now, my system doesn't run into these bugs, give me the next build, please, 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 even though you guys just got a bunch of new builds. But you have to understand, with these kind of game-crashing bugs, they want to make sure that everybody who has purchased the game, or at least most people who have purchased the game, are able to test alongside everybody else in the public testing. And one of the biggest things that the Indie Stone has always said is that if there is a bug that is causing the loss of a game, basically making the game unplayable, they will not release the build until they've figured out. And since the 32-bit memory bug came about kind of during the open beta testing, or the open alpha testing, or public forum tests, or whatever the hell you want to call what 2.9 is, they weren't able to figure that bug out until it already had hit the masses. Now that they found the bug, they are going to basically work on it and squash it until they release, before they release, the next version of the game, to make sure that everybody who has access to the game can play it and test it and have fun with it, which is understandable. I wholly agree with that. They say on the plus side, it's led to some significant memory optimizations to try and minimize the issue, but at the same time, the memory bloat is happening on a subset of systems deep in the OpenGL DLL, outside the debugging eyes of the dev team, so it's been a tricky one. Basically, that's saying that it's so far deep into the code, and they can't figure out where it is right now, and they can't figure out why it's causing it, that it's taking them some time to figure it out. But we've been not idle on the other areas. A ton of bugs have been fixed, and it's sorting this last problem out. It does end up dragging on much longer. We'll put out another release with bug fixes from a frozen code after we've satisfied it's stable. We'd rather have this issue sorted first, though, and it's basically saying if it takes way longer than they expect it to take to fix this in-memory issue thing, they're going to release a version with some more bug fixes with the same OpenGL kind of bug that's already happening to some of you 32-bit users out there. But they're not going to leave us without anything. They're going to leave us with something kind of cool. And what they have here is a video, which I highly suggest you go to check out at projectzomboid.com, of vehicles proof of concept. And what it is just the idea so we're not leaving you totally blah, blah, blah. Here is a stress test of streaming system, an old version of the map, to determine how fast vehicles could feasibly go. So basically what they're saying is they basically sped up running for the characters to see how fast they could get the player to move throughout the map and how fast the map could load up, reliably as they go about. So basically testing how fast they could let a vehicle go through the city reliably without the game stuttering, crashing, or just not loading and just bugging the hell out, which I like. So go check it out. It's actually kind of fun to watch. I really liked it a lot. It's really interesting. But it basically shows them how prepared they are to add vehicles into the game when the time comes. Not until after RC3, though. But this gets us excited. And it gets me excited, too, because vehicles in a zombie apocalypse is always pretty imperative to survival. But it's important to note, and I'm sure Indie Stone will handle this just fine, that vehicles themselves need to be something that are not only rare, but break down incredibly easily. They guzzle gas or drink gas or whatever you want to call it on a regular basis, and it's not something that's going to be 100% reliable all the time, especially if the car breaks down in the city or you run out of gas in the city. And one of the things I'd like to see is that the vehicle situation is actually not a situation where you stumble across a vehicle and you can use it. I'd love to see broken down vehicles that you can find parts to and eventually repair. And I think that right there, repairing vehicles to make one of your own, not only would give you a sense of attachment to your vehicle and make it your own, but be awesome and give you something to work toward. But on the flip side of that, when you do eventually lose your vehicle before you die, say you lost your vehicle to a horde of zombies or whatever, you have that sense of loss kind of panging and twanging at your heartstrings, really causing you the pain and anxiety of losing something you worked so hard to attain. Much like it is for me when I lose a safe house that I've worked so hard to make safe. That is a sucky feeling. And I'm assuming that'll be very similar because the vehicles, when they do get added, you're looking at essentially, free rides to the city to get supplies. And a vehicle could become an integral part of your everyday scavenging life. And imagine the day, say you've been using the vehicle for a solid week and a half, outside the game and in-game like a couple of months, and you have become so reliant on the vehicle's mode of transportation that when you lose it, it's almost like you're beside yourself. What do you do now? How do you survive without your vehicle? Do you prioritize repairing it, or do you leave it and go about your daily life on foot? Oh, all the situations having a vehicle can bring up would be phenomenal. And it's always got to be, I implore the Indie Stone to always have it in the back of their minds to constantly think about the kinds of situations you can get the player stuck in with a vehicle. Not how cool would it be to have vehicles in the game, not how many zombies can I run over with a vehicle, not how easy can I make this game for the players with a vehicle. It needs to be what kind of unique and fun situations can I get the player in with a vehicle when I introduce this as a gameplay element. So I'm really excited to see where they come with that. Outside of that, that is it. So this is going to be a relatively short Mondoid. If you're here once a week, I'm glad you stopped by. I'm sorry this wasn't an exciting Mondoid, but hey, I work with what I'm given. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys either later on today or tomorrow, or if not, I'll see you next week. And if you are one of those weekly visitors, feel free to subscribe so that when you know every single week when the Mondoid is posted. I will see you guys next time, and thank you so much for stopping by.